World Economic Forum states mind control could turn humans into slaves. Baxter Dimitri News Punch reports. Well, I think they would be worse than slaves. At least slaves get free food and board, free medical, and this would be even worse than slaves, since you wouldn't have food or board or medical. Despite mainstream media claims that remote mind control technology does not exist, global elites at the World Economic Forum, the mainstream media's overlords that is, recently discussed the emergence of remote mind control technology, and they admit that it could be used to turn humans into, quote, mind-controlled slaves, end quote. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, is one of the most influential elite organizations alongside the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, and the Trilateral Commission. Every year, the forum brings together some 2,500 top business leaders, international political leaders, economists, celebrities, journalists to discuss world issues. The Board of Trustees of the WEF is composed of some of the powerful people of the world. Here are some of these names. Mark Carney, Governor, Bank of England. Al Gore, Vice President of the United States, Chairman of Co-founder Generation Investment Management LLP. Jim Yong Kim, President of World Bank. Christine Lagarde, Managing Director, International Monetary Fund, that's the IMF. Peter Moore, President, International Committee of the Red Cross. Indra Nooyi, Chairman, PepsiCo. L. Fafael Reif, President, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that's MIT. Ursula von der Leyen, Federal Minister of Defense, Ministry of Defense of Germany. David Rubenstein, co-founder and co-executive chairman of Carlyle Group. Vigilant Citizen reports in many ways the WEF is similar to the Bilderberg Group. Interesting facts: Klaus Schwab, the founder of executive chairman of the WEF, is a former member of the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. Not unlike other powerful organizations that claim to quote-unquote help the world, the World Economic Forum is accused of actually promoting the interests of the world elite. The Transnational Institute describes World Economic Forum's main purpose as, quote, to function as a socializing institution for the emerging global elite, globalization's mafiocracy of bankers, industrialists, oligarchs, technocrats, and politicians. They promote common ideas and serve common interests, their own, end quote. Far from actually solving problems, the WEF is actually accused of simply shifting the blame from governments and major conglomerates to regular citizens. Quote, a study published in the Journal of Consumer Research investigated the sociological impact of the WEF. It concluded that the WEF do not solve issues such as poverty, global warming, chronic illnesses, or debt. They have simply shifted the burden of the solution of these problems from governments and businesses to responsible consumer subjects, the green consumer, the health-conscious consumer, the financially literate consumer. They merely reframe the issues and by doing so, perpetuate them. Al Gore is singled out as a prime example. Gore's speeches deliberately shift focus away from the problems of unregulated markets and corporate activities to one of moral pathologies, individual greed, etc. And in doing so, he's actually promoting the creation of new markets and hence perpetuating the same old problems in a new guise. New markets will follow the same patterns as the old ones because the core problems of corporate governance is never addressed, end quote. Remote mind control. The WEF's annual meeting of the Global Future Councils took place November 11th and 12th in the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. One of the topics discussed was mind control using sound waves. Yes, so obviously they're tech literate. The WEF's official website published an article entitled Mind Control Using Sound Waves. We ask a scientist how it works where University of Oxford professor Antoine Jerusalem describes the technology and the issues related to it. Controlling the brain with sound waves, how does it work? Well, to get straight to the science, the principle of non-invasive neuromodulation is to focus ultrasound waves into a region of the brain so that they all gather into a small spot. Then hopefully, given the right set of parameters, this can change the activity of the neurons. If you want to get rid of neurons that have gone wild, for example in epilepsy, then you might want to crank up the energy to essentially kill them. But if you want to selectively promote or block a neuronal activity, you need to fine-tune your ultrasound waves carefully. In other words, there's a difference between ultrasound stimulation used for removing tissue and ultrasound neuromodulation, which is aimed at controlling neuronal activity without damaging the tissue. Ultrasound neuromodulation is something that definitely works, but that we still don't understand. Quote, what social good can come of it? The current buzzwords are Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, as well as traumatic brain injuries, but scientists are also looking at the spinal cord and peripheral nervous systems. As far as I'm concerned, since the brain is the de facto center for decision for so many processes, any of them could be targeted. Is it safe? When attempting to control neuronal activity by providing minute mechanical vibrations to a region of the brain, it's important that the focus of the ultrasound frequency and amplitude are properly tuned, or the brain can permanently potentially be damaged. The point is that we still don't know how to tune all of this, and if I were to exaggerate a bit, I would say that our current approach is not that far off from fiddling around with the settings on a radio until we hear the right station. One of the many difficulties is to know for sure that we are indeed controlling neurons with these sound waves as opposed to damaging them. The truth is that we still don't know how the process works. And if you don't know how it works, you don't know how much is too much. What are the biggest ethical challenges? The potential of this technique is huge. By that I mean the sheer number of applications as well as ethical use. From a biological perspective, it's similar to drugs. It can cure you, it can get you addicted, it can kill you. It's about staying within a given set of rules. From an ethical perspective, the world is changing so fast, it's difficult to assess what will be acceptable tomorrow that is not today. I'm also convinced that human nature is such that if something can be done, it will be done. The question is by whom? How dystopic could it get? I can see the day coming where scientists will be able to control what a person sees in their mind's eye by sending the right wave to the right place in their brain. My guess is that most objections will be similar to those we hear today about subliminal messages in advertisements, only much more vehement. This technology is not without risks of misuse. It could be a revolutionary healthcare technology for the sick, or a perfect controlling tool with which the ruthless control the weak. This time, though, the control would be literal. And what can we do to safeguard its potential? I'm not going to argue that scientists are all wise and knowledgeable when it comes to what should and should not be done. Some of us will go as far as we can to get away with, but that's human nature and not unique to scientists. Either way, our job is to find something that's beneficial to humanity. Another role of politicians should be to provide a communication platform to explain the long vision of any given area of research, and it can be too early, not a good idea. The final decision might very well be to stop it. So in short, Antoine Jerusalem says that remote mind control is incredibly powerful technology that has the power to possibly cure illness. But in the wrong hands, this technology can completely take control of one's brain. In his words, it can be the perfect controlling tool with which the ruthless control the weak. That being said, remote mind control is nothing new, and the elite had access to this kind of technology for years. A few months ago, I published an article about a leaked 1996 document describing remote mind control. Despite the technology's admitted dystopian potential, Anton Jerusalem believes that humanity cannot avoid developing it. He probably says that because a company developing this technology is part of the WEF. His solution is to make sure the technology is not used to turn humans into mind control slaves. Government regulation. In short, the WEF states that this technology should be under the control of the global elite. Does that comfort you? This is by Baxter Dimitri on News Punch. Kindly support my Patreon account, since that's the only way I can continue what you like seeing on this channel. Thank you. You'll find it in the description box below.